Welcome back, guys, to yet another World of Warcraft video for the War Within. Today I have a little bit of an interesting one for you guys. I'm going to be talking about my concentration alt army. Now this, take it with a grain of salt with what you hear, and also the title and name, you know, the title and whatever I've put on the thumbnail, because this is something that requires an absolutely disgusting amount of hours to actually set up fully. But I want to make this to give you guys an idea of what is possible with an alt army. Okay, so today what I've done is I've crafted with my concentration on the alt army, and right now at the time of recording this video, that alt army consists of 116 level 70s. Now every single one of them, and as you can see here in my mailbox, my lovely mailbox, has enchanting and tailoring. Now, I have about 10 or 11 different enchants, and you'll see that as I show some of them, just to give you guys an idea. And that is something that I'm talking about today, just to give you guys an idea of how good it is and how much potential that there is. And I've also crafted a couple of times now, so we're going to be talking about the last couple of times I've actually, you know, also crafted with my concentration, just to give you guys an idea of how sustainable that it possibly is. But let's get, you know, before we do get into the video, make sure that you guys pop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel with all the notifications on, and make sure that you also check out Gold Cap down in the description below. I probably also put it in the pinned comments if you're interested in a premium gold making community, but also just a great community to hang out in. It's great for learning a lot about gold making. We have a bunch of guides on the website, and there's also the premium Discord, which, you know, if you're interested in that, you can check it out, and make sure that you use Sansiful for your discount code. That's awesome. If you use my link, it supports me greatly on the channel as well. But regardless, let's get straight into it. So what you're seeing in front of your screen here, and I'm going to loot this a little bit, we're about at 4 million gold at the moment. So what you can see here is 2.3 million gold. Now I'm going to go ahead and loot the first 100. Today I invested, well, actually over a couple of days, I invested 1.7 million gold into actually buying the materials that I need for these particular enchants and also the spell threads. And you might be wondering, okay, well, the 2.3 million that you just looted, that's already like a ton, right? You've already profited at that point. And the answer to that is absolutely, yes, we have. What we're doing, if you've never heard of this before, is I have set up a bunch of alts with a certain amount of knowledge points to be able to create certain types of enchants. As you can see here, Crystalline Radiance, Council's Intellect, a 40 of Fiery Resolve, Radiant Haste, Chant of Leeching Fangs, just to name some of them. And all of these are crafted with rank 2, like quality 2 materials, and use concentration to make a quality 3. That's what we actually want, right? So because of that being the case, we can see a lot of profit on a lot of these crafts. Some of them, like a lot of them, range right now in the profit margins of about, I want to say, 50 to 150%. And something to consider is that every single one of these alts are using Ingenuity. After we've gone ahead and looted this, I'll show you guys what I mean by that, because there is quite a big difference in, you know, I guess, how much potential that you have with an alt army based on the setup that you have. So I'll show you guys some of the opportunities. But as you can see, we looted about 2.3 million gold here. We have another 1.3 million. Okay, so in total, when that comes out and we've sold the entire thing, we'll put that together and we'll say that that's about 3.6 mil. So if we remove the 1.7 million crafting cost, we're looking at about 2 million in profit, which is actually very, very amazing. For 116 alts, we are actually looking at, you could take it like this, you'll say 2 million, and then you'll divide it by 116, which makes it so it's an average of 17,241 gold in profit. Every single one of my alts has opened up the opportunity, obviously this is an average, to make 17,241 gold. So on a small scale, this is just for one craft, by the way, right? This is 3 days of concentration usage. You know, which means that if we take this from a perspective of a month, if I was to craft every 3 days, that would be 10 total times a month, which again if we put that together, well, then instead of 17,200 and whatever, it would be 172,000, which is great. It's amazing. Now, the other thing that you can think about here is, obviously, when I give you that number, which is what we're talking about, 172,000 for a full month of concentration crafting, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because this is an average based on 116 alts. So depending on your luck with something like multi-crafting, something like ingenuity and resourcefulness, those numbers might be a little bit different. But then you could say, okay, well, what if I make 5 alts? What if I make 10 alts? Even if you were to make half of what I just said, 172,000 per alt, let's say you'll make half of that. That's 86k, right? 50% less. And that's really, really, really low polling it. So we'll say 50% less, 86k, okay? At that point, you could say, okay, well, if I make 3 or 4 tunes, then I'll be at a point where I can make enough for a token, right? If you play on EU, that'll be close to 300k, which is great. So to just show you guys a little bit of an idea of what some of these builds can go into, I'll go ahead and show you one of my alts here. I hope this is making sense so far, but I just want to show you how strong concentration alt armies are. And as for, I guess, the sustainability of what this actually is, when you compare this to my 2 last times that I crafted with concentration, we were looking at pretty much the same amount of profit. The markets actually haven't changed much. So at this point in the season, we can actually maybe even expect that they're not going to change much. If anything, they'll fall maybe a little bit, but again, this is something that we can't predict. I also want to add, a lot of these enchants and a lot of these crafted items that you can be making is something that will also be useful in season 2. So even if they get to a point where it's not really worth your own personal time, you can go ahead and say, oh, wait, well, it might actually be worth it when we turn it around and say, well, season 2 is actually going to make it very profitable for us. So if you pick some of these enchants, you're going to have a potentially very good time once that season rolls around. But again, you should be taking all the profits that you can right now if you are one that enjoys alt armies. So the one that you're looking at right here in front of your face is going to be Cursed Haste. Now, something that can help you out a lot when you're picking and choosing what you want to craft, and maybe you're looking at TSM values, sell rates, and whatever else, or you're looking at lists from other people. If you want to know what kind of a build that people are going for, having craft sim and clicking on specialization info when you are clicked into an enchant will show you what knowledge point specifically will impact that particular enchant. So in this case, it's Cursed Haste. Just to show you guys, we were putting 30 points into everlasting enchantments, 20 points into Nerubian novelties, 20 points into cursed chants. Then that particular enchant is maxed out to its maximum capability. Everything else would be actual, you know, in terms of skill, everything else would be quality of materials and the quality of your tool and the base skill in your profession. The other thing that you also want to do immediately after that on any alt is making sure that your supplementary shattering becomes good. And what we're looking for is to make as many enchants as we possibly can at a profit. So if you're looking at something like this particular cursed enchant, we're going to go ahead and look at the price of the rank 3. Right now, that is going to be 13,000. I want to go ahead and say that this is a really outrageously high price. When I was selling these, they're probably more like 8 or 7k. So we'll take a perspective of, you know, we'll say 8 or 7. We'll say 8k just to put it into perspective. These particular storm dust right now are about 30 gold, so 30 times 50 is 1500. The gleaming shards are about 100 gold, so that's another 1000 gold on top. And then we'll go ahead and add 1 refulgent crystal, which is like 85 gold, and then we'll also add the 10 writhing symbols, which in total would be about 400 or maybe 500 gold. So we'll say 500 gold just for good measure. If that's the case, we're looking at a crafting cost of about 3,000 gold. Now at this point, all we're doing is we're going to be using, maybe, you know, we use a forged framework to get a little bit more ingenuity. The rank ones are usually pretty cheap on the auction house, making it super worth it to get. But even without it, you are looking at a profit of about 4 or 5,000 gold at a normal cost, right? If we say 8 or 7k, that's what we're looking at, 4,000 or 5,000 gold in total profit when you craft it with concentration. Now you can say, you can see with the build that we have currently, the level, the green profession tools that we have, it will cost us 276 concentration to make one of these. When this gets closer to 100, we'll be able to make 4 of these without proccing anything. And concentration takes a little under 4 days to recharge up to 1,000. So again, that's why I craft every 3 or 4 days, depending on how things line up with reset and whatever I have time for. So just keep that in mind, because that's something that's really important to think about. But to put that into perspective, you can see how much of a profit margin that some of these enchants have when you're looking at the cheaper crafting cost of the quality 2 materials. That is the purpose of every single one of the enchants that I'm going for, okay? And just to show you guys, this is one of them, but some of the other ones that I would be doing, I actually can, let me check something real quick here. We have the list over here. So this is going to be the list, okay? This is just a simple notepad, nothing too crazy, but the enchants that I'm doing is Cursed Haste, it's a 40 of Fiery Resolve, it's the Crystalline Radiance enchant. I'm also doing Algari Resourcefulness and then Algari Ingenuity, which are the 2 profession tool enchants. Then there's a chant of Leeching Fangs, chant of Winged Grace, Radiant Haste, Council's Intellect, and a 40 of the Depths. I also have actually 2 or 3 of those. But just to put that into perspective, I'm diversifying a lot, so I give myself a lot of different profit margins on a lot of these enchants, which makes it much safer and future-proofs it a little bit better. So you have an opportunity to do that. But I will also say, as you progress into the profession and you get more knowledge points, well, then eventually you'll be able to put, okay, well, now I don't only want to do Cursed Haste enchant, I also want to do a Cloak enchant, or I want to go this way, right? So you'll be able to eventually diversify on each of your alts, which is very, very, very good. But again, I just wanted to show you guys the power of an alt army, okay? So this is a frequent average. The last 3 or 4 times that I've crafted with my alt army, I've made anywhere, and this is an average per toon. I have 116 toons now, which is going to be way higher very soon. It's between 17,000 and 25,000 every 3 or 4 days, depending on when you craft, okay? That's why the profit margin is between 17,000 and 24,000, because it depends on if you craft every 3 days or every 4 days, because concentration takes almost 4 days. Therefore, if you craft every 3, you won't have as much concentration, so your profit's going to be smaller. So just keep that in mind. But if you take that into consideration, you can think about how much potential profit there is to be made. And as I talked about earlier, when you're looking at something like this, and you might be like, oh, well, the market's probably going to die, or the price is going to lower. We are looking at multiple weeks of pretty stable prices across the board, even some prices going slightly up. And as we venture further into the 0.5 patch coming out soon, the anniversary patch, we'll also get closer and closer to Season 2, which means people are going to start reinvesting into a lot of these materials again, consistently keeping the prices up. And also, as we venture into Season 2, having this ready, having a lot of these enchants ready that are going to be best in slot or very useful to a lot of people, a lot of specs, classes and stuff, is going to be absolutely amazing. If you're ready day 1, you're going to be able to make a lot of gold alongside the rest of us, okay? If you guys have any questions, make sure that you drop that down in the comments below. I am currently streaming every single day over on twitch.tv/Sansible. We're working on the alt army every day, going through the different steps, going through the leveling process, everything that's required for it. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you check that out. If you did make it to this point in the video, make sure that you type, let's see, what are we gonna say today? Sticky note. I have a sticky note on my screen to make this video, so if you made it to this point in the video, type sticky note down in the comments below. Then I know that you've made it this far. And I know this is a lot of information. This is a complicated system for people that haven't tried it before, which again, if you have any questions, make sure that you drop that down in the comments below. And as well, you can also ask me on the Twitch streams if you make it over there at some time. I'd love to see you there. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.